Grace and peace to the Fellowship of Women Clergy members, friends, and guests. I am Reverend Sharon D. White, a member of the FWC ministry, and this is our Wellness Moment message. In 2020, most of us are probably aware that Simone Biles came to realize that she was not okay. And in that moment of realization, both physically and emotionally, she realized that she was not doing well. And so she made a very brave, pivotal decision to withdraw from the rest of the competition at the Olympics. In that moment, Simone had to make a decision that I think all of us have to periodically take a look at. And that is, how am I doing? Am I okay? And I want to reference for you for just a moment, Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. And I'm coming from the Message Bible, and it reads like this. This is, of course, Jesus talking. He says, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything on you heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." And as I thought about Simone's decision back in 2020, and all of the verbal attacks that she got, and all of the criticisms that she got, according to NBCnews.com on August the 21st, 2021, and I quote, they noted, "They've attacked her as a national embarrassment and argued she should no longer be allowed to compete for USA Gymnastics." They also noted that it was stated, not only do those kind of comments seek to erase her hard work and to perpetuate this idea that you have to win at all cost, mentally it pushes people over their limits. But I'm happy to report that Simone, in spite of all the public outcry she received, the criticism from public figures as well as people who were more concerned about the United States winning the Olympics than they were about her well-being, in spite of the fact that she had already proved that she was one of the best gymnasts around, she made the decision to not compete. She chose her wellness over everything else and even over other people's criticism. What does that got to do with us, Reverend White? I'm glad you asked. Because again, this is our moments in wellness. And one of the things that I've come to understand as a mental health professional for over 28 years is that each one of us has to do what Simone Biles did. We have to look at ourselves and be honest. And we have to determine, am I okay? And so if you look at this picture behind me of Simone, it was taken this year, 2024, in Paris, where clearly she had been competing, but Simone realized through counseling and working with her therapist over these 4 years that she needs to take control of her mental wellness, and she needs to do whatever is necessary for her to be okay. So I love this picture because right in the midst of her competition in Paris, Simone was photographed in this very meditative moment. And I can only imagine that with all the hype and all the competition and all the work she had done, she realized, I need to practice my own self-care. I can't leave it to somebody else. I've got to do it myself. And so what I want to say to us today is that Simone teaches us, she's a prime example in this 2024 snapshot, as well as what she did in 2020 was. It is a great practice for all of us to assess where we are mentally, emotionally, and I'm even going to say socially on a regular basis. It's a great practice to be honest when we are not okay. It's a great practice to choose our wellness regardless of at least 4 things. 1, regardless of other people's opinions of what we should be doing. See, if Simone had listened to the critics back in 2020, she might have found herself in a greater mental health distress than she was because they wanted her to keep going. But she decided, I can't do this. So all of us have to determine and make a decision for ourselves that regardless of, number one, again, other people's opinion of what we should be doing, we got to choose our wellness. Number two, regardless of other people's opinions about what choices we should make, we got to choose our own wellness. Number three, regardless of other people's demands on us, we have to decide that our mental, physical, emotional wellness is important enough to be a priority for us, and we cannot allow other people. And I know you're saying it's hard. I understand it's hard. But if we're going to be okay and we're going to be well, then we've got to make the decision, like Simone, to not let other people's demands on us take priority over our own wellness. And then lastly, it's a great practice for us to choose that we have to decide our wellness many times has to take precedence over other people's needs. Listen, the reality is that all of us at different points in our lives have people dependent on us. They're dependent on us on our jobs. They're depending on us at home. If we're mothers taking care of children, or we aunties taking care of children, if we're married and we have husbands, like there are always people, if we're caregivers for our parents, there are always people who have needs that they rely on us for. But there are times when we literally have to stop, even if it's hard, and make the decision that in this moment, my wellness is more important than what I can give to somebody else. And so, like Simone, we've got to moment by moment decide, am I okay? What do I need? How can I make sure that I'm in good health and I'm in a good position mentally and emotionally and psychologically? Because the other piece, obviously, is this. If we're not in a good place, the people who are relying on us, who are demanding of us, we can't give them our best anyhow. So while it may be hard to make decisions, I encourage us, each one of us, to regularly do a checkup from the neck up and ask ourselves the hard question, how am I doing? Am I okay? And if the answer is that I'm not, then we've got to stop and take care of ourselves. Jesus in this Matthew text, he says, are you tired? Basically, are you yourself not good? Are you worn out? Are you burned out, even burned out in doing religious activity? Jesus says, I need you to get away. It's imperative that you stop. Even the ministry stuff that sometimes pulls us in 20 directions. Jesus is saying, I need you to stop so that, as he says in the text, get away with me so that you recover your life. So somebody today, he says, I'll show you how to take rest. Walk with me. I'll help you work it out. So somebody today, I asked you this question as I close this wellness moment with this. How are you doing today? How are you choosing you today? Whose voice are you allowing to affect your personal self-care? What might be affecting your decision to prioritize your self-care? Each one of us has to ask ourselves these questions, and not just today, but on a regular basis. And if you find that you're not okay, it's okay to say, I'm not okay, but I want to encourage you with several next action steps, One, be honest about where you are. Two, have a confidant that you can tell, I'm not doing okay, and allow that person to pour into you. Three, take it to Jesus, because he says, if you bring it to me, I'm going to help you figure out how to get rest. And I don't mean just pray, but ask God. And I don't mean just pray. I mean it like that. But I don't mean only pray. Let me say it that way. But I mean, ask God, how can I manage my responsibilities? Show me how to still take care of myself, so that at the end of the day, I am good, just like all the people who I help, I support, I caregive for, and I take care of. Because at the end of the day, Jesus says, keep company with me, and you'll learn how to live freely and lightly. Not that we won't have concerns, not that we won't have issues, not that we will not have people needing us. But at the end of the day, each one of us, like Simone, has to figure out, what do I need to do to be okay? God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. And I encourage you to make sure that you make your own wellness a priority. Blessings.